Well, what do we have here, my friends? I was just telling you about, broke Illinois, the Powerball lottery, Mega Millions, whatever. They're pulling out because Illinois is not paying the people who win due to court orders telling the government you got to pay these people first. And you winners of lottery, you're third-class citizens. So even though you won, we're shipping you out an IOU, while we keep the fantastic revenue the lottery has generated. Of course, you get nothing. So they pulled out. We've already discussed this. You've already seen my videos recently. People are fleeing Illinois, yeah, because it's full of noise, even though the S is silent. They're fleeing Illinois because of this thing I'm about to read you. They already know taxes, taxes, taxes. Raise them, raise them, raise them. I told you the other day what they were going to raise them to, except the difference was, Democratic House and Senate in Illinois, Republican governor who said there's no chance I'll sign those kind of tax increases. Except the little problem just happened. And I want to discuss that with you right now from Zero Hedge. Illinois tax rate soars 32% higher than it was after the Senate overrides the governor's veto. You people are going to pay your higher taxes because of our absolutely horrible job as your representatives, who always took in campaign contributions from the highest bidder, passed laws in favor of the highest bidder, and you paid for it every time, and you're paying for it now. So I don't expect to see Illinois property prices, continuing to go higher. There's a massive demand for housing in Illinois. No, not no more if there was. People are going to be fleeing left and right. They already are. The hedge fund managers are leaving. I've already discussed this. They're all heading to Florida. Strangely enough, where old Jay Snip lives. Oh boy. 2 days ago, when we reported that the Illinois House had voted 72 to 45 to pass a 32% income tax hike. Now, granted, it's not, the income tax isn't 32%. It's just 32% higher than what it was, is what they're saying. And a $36 billion spending plan. How about a $36 billion savings plan instead of a spending plan? In the last-ditch effort, scramble to provide the state with its first budget in 3 years, or else suffer the first ever U.S. downgrade to junk status, we said that ultimately the fate of Illinois' credit rating is now in the hands of Governor Rauner, and whether and how fast his imminent veto is overridden. We spot the answer on Independence Day afternoon, when just around noon, first the Senate voted to approve the House tax hike and spending bill. Then shortly after, Governor Rauner, just as he warned he would, vetoed both the income tax increase and the budget bill and budget implementation bill. And he tweeted, he pulled a Trump. I just vetoed Speaker Madigan's 32% permanent income tax increase. Thank you. He didn't say thank you. I'm just adding that for special effects. Only to be himself overridden moments later by the Senate, as it took the drastic measure to end a record budget impasse. The 36 to 18 vote in the Senate on the tax hike came after a very short debate, and 2 days after more than a dozen Republicans in the House broke ranks with Rauner to join the Democrats to support the plan amid growing frustration. Needless to say, former PE titan Bruce Rauner disagreed, and in his veto message to lawmakers said that the package of legislation fails to address Illinois, its fiscal and economic crisis, and in fact, makes it worse in the long run. It does not balance the budget. It does not make nearly sufficient spending reductions, does not pay down our debt, and holds schools hostage to force a Chicago bailout, he said. He also noted he did not get the economic agenda items he had made a requirement to sign a tax hike into law. This budget package does not provide property tax relief. Isn't that amazing? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you that's how this was going to go? property taxes. Oh, these people, you're not just going to give up your house, are you? Hell, some of you may be close to paying your mortgage off. Some of you may be halfway through even. You're not just going to give that up now, are you? Nah, you're going to bend over and take it. And we're going to give it to you, like government always does. The budget package does not provide property tax relief to struggling families and employers. It does not provide regulatory relief to businesses to create jobs and grow the economy. It does not include real term limits on state elected officials to fix our broken political system, he said, listing the issues from what he once dubbed his turnaround agenda. So it sounds like they got the same problem we got as on the federal level. No term limits. People, again, payoffs, campaign contributions, call it whatever you want. Yep, my job here's done, I'm leaving. Yep. Did my, 12 years and ruined my state. I'm out. Gonna go live in my McMansion. It's paid off in cash, of course. I'm not even concerned about these rate hikes. Because that's all they have to worry about. It's just some little more expensive property taxes. Well, they don't have a mortgage. They don't have the debt you have. They probably have a retirement package that would make you cry. So they don't care. So like he said, the governor, we need term limits and we need them now, like urgently. Because you people don't know what the hell you're doing. Yeah, you passed a budget, but you did what the federal government did. Let's just kick the can down the road and borrow even more without cutting any kind of costs. We're just adding costs. Like father, like son, like, big government, little government, as in federal versus state. Like father, like son. It does, however, stave off the day of reckoning and potentially Illinois junk status downgrade. The voting came as Illinois entered its third year without a budget amid Wall Street's threat of a credit downgrade to junk status, potential layoffs of construction workers, and with Illinois already booted from the Powerball and Mega Millions lottery games. We don't have any time left, said Senator Toy Hutchinson, Democrat, Olympia Fields. She said that, she laid out what is at stake without a resolution, including the state's credit rating being downgraded to junk status, road workers being laid off, and the dismantling of higher education and social safety net. Folks, I've been saying this for a long time. I just have to say it again. These are all symptoms and results of a dying empire. You can go look at any other dying empire in the past, and it's the same story. It's the same story everywhere you go. Okay, I'm not sure what the cat's eating off the floor, but whatever. The tax hike and budget now head to the House, which also will have to vote to override Warner for them to become law. But according to the Chicago Tribune, Democratic Speaker Michael Madigan said the House would not do so Tuesday, meaning the budget process will play out at least another day. The House is not scheduled to convene until 4:30 p.m., but attendance has been an issue, as lawmakers had dispersed for the holiday, of course. Still, no surprises are expected. I think that the Senate vote is reflective of the vote in the House. I think it speaks to all the hard work that has been done by a bipartisan group in the legislature, Madigan told WICS-TV of Springfield after the vote, of course. They make it sound like it's a great law just got passed. My expectation is that the bills that the Senate just passed will become law, and we will have taken a huge step towards correcting the financial imbalances of the state of Illinois. Perhaps, although some have suggested that instead of hiking taxes, which will lead to a fresh exodus of taxpayers from both Chicago and Illinois. Recall the Chicago population is already shrinking the most of any U.S. city, by the way. What the budget should have done is slash spending. Of course, that is the last thing on the mind of legislators of one of America's biggest nanny states. In fact, quite the opposite. The accompanying budget plan, which the Senate also quickly approved 39-14, would have the state spend a little more than $36 billion, about $4 billion more than it currently takes in from taxes. In other words, Illinois just saved itself from default by assuring it would end up with even more debt. Where have I heard that before? 10 trillion national deficit, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21 trillion. Oh yeah. Going back to the vote, as the Tribune adds, the 36 votes in the Senate was the minimum needed both to pass and override a veto. There are 37 Democrats in the Senate, but 2 voted no. They are Senator Julie Morrison of Deerfield and Senator Tom Cullerton of Villa Park. Both likely will face a tough re-election challenge. Senator Bill Hayne, Democrat Alton, who has been undergoing treatment for blood cancer since February, traveled to the Capitol to vote for the plan. The critical vote belonged to the Republican Senator Dale Ryder of Mattoon, who noted the damage done to Eastern Illinois University in his district. Quote, "Every dollar that we throw onto the backlog of bills is a dollar the next generation has to pay for, even though we got to spend it," Ryder said. "That's simply wrong, and that is the basis for which I support this." So due to today's last-minute Senate fireworks means no Illinois downgrade to junk is coming. It remains to be seen. The movement, after years of dysfunction, was enough to delay the state's credit rating from being cut to junk status by Wall Street ratings agencies Monday, though they warned that much rides on a final approval of the budget package. Even then, S&P Global Ratings warned that long-term damage has already been done. Quote, "Even with a budget, however, it's likely that Illinois' finances will remain strained and vulnerable to unanticipated economic stress. Unexpectedly," the agency said. In addition to having accumulated record amounts of payables, the state's university system has been deprived of state funding since January 2017. If a budget is enacted, the degree to which it closes the state's structural deficit provides a pathway for addressing the backlog of unpaid bills, and its impact on cash flows will be important factors in our review of its effect on Illinois credit Illinois' credit quality. Meanwhile, on Monday, Fitch called the weekend developments concrete progress, noting that it appears the legislature may have enough votes to override Ronner's planned veto of the tax hike. S&P called the actions a meaningful step. Yeah, so is taking $10 trillion in debt and turning it into $20 trillion in 8 years of one, president's time, which technically 2 terms. The meaningful step forward. Oh, step forward into what? Assured collapse and not able to recover? Oh, okay. Again, kick the can later. Who cares about now? Yields on the state's 10-year debt have soared to 4.8%, which is 2.8 percentage points more than those of benchmark obligations. That's the highest yield of all 22 states, which Bloomberg tracks. It would be the ultimate insult to Illinois if, despite the last-minute scramble, S&P were to do to the insolvent state what it did to the USA in August 2011, which, despite the pleas of Obama, Geithner, and the entire administration, it went ahead and did the unthinkable when it downgraded the U.S. from its vaunted AAA rating. In any case, it's only a matter of time before Illinois slides not only to junk, but to default status as well. So I do remember the thing in 2011. I do remember that. I covered it. And I remember that little Timmy Geithner was being interviewed by somebody. It was one of these sit-down meetings, and they'd asked him flat out, could the United States ever, get its credit rating hurt? His response, matter of fact, let me see if I can find this. Stand by 1 second. Oh, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for this? It's right in the very beginning. Check this out. Let me add that, okay?
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for joining Fox Business.
Good to see you, Peter.
Is there a risk that the United States could lose its AAA credit rating, yes or no?
No risk of that.
No risk.
No risk. Again, if you listen carefully now, you see the leadership of the United States of America, the president, the Republican leadership in both houses, and the Democrats